So when you say you've taken a break and you're getting back into it, is it like there's something to achieve, Jeremy?
No. Um, at least it's different than um, say like, in the past when I've started something new. Maybe it's exercise because I want to feel better. Maybe it's changing my diet because I want to feel better. Maybe it's something because I wanted something to change. Um, and then that works well for a while, and then I fall off. I don't practice whatever it was anymore. And then something happens. I guess speaking of my health, maybe it's something, maybe I get sick and I'm like, I feel like crap. Oh, I know what I can do to feel better. I can do that thing again. Um, it hasn't been like that at all. Um, it's actually been, um, things have been quite pleasant. Uh, and when they haven't been, um, I've been able to be much more aware of what's happening, um, which makes it less harmful to others, makes it less painful to myself. And so, no, there hasn't been I've fallen off this, awakening way in. I better get back to studying and practicing and talking.
Great.
Um, so it's been, I think maybe it's just something more with the sunlight, um, that in the winter, um, it's easier for me to go to bed early. Not that it's winter yet, but it's starting to get darker earlier and it's starting to get lighter later in the morning. It's easier for me to get up and
Yep.
join the party.
Yeah. Good one. Oh, sounds good. So been no suffering, so to speak. Uh,
No,
okay. Oh, that's
there's
good.
even um, I ended up going on a retreat a few weeks ago and leading up to it, my wife was like, "So you must be so excited to go." And I'm like, "Sure." Like it was weird because, before a lot of this, I would immensely look forward to weekends, to time off, um, to vacations, and then, get down when whatever that thing was winding down, and now I gotta get back to work the next day, or back to work or back to the normal grind of life. Um, but in this case, I wasn't feeling that, like, oh, I can't wait to go. I can't wait to be there. I can't wait to stop whatever is happening right now. And then so I had just explained that, yeah, it wasn't really that. I mean, yeah, I'm
It was
happy to be going.
it was pleasant enough. Did you have any shifts
Yeah.
happen while you were there?
Um, Slightly. And now I can't even remember what the thing was that where my realization deepened a little bit.
Hmm.
Um,
Remember that had happened, yeah. Yeah.
yeah. Um, which has kind of been the story of my experience all along this path is nothing major, just lots of
Yeah.
little realizations and micro shifts, maybe is how I would describe it. And then even when I was coming back or leaving there, the retreat, the planned or everybody else that was there was about I think 18 of us. Everyone else was going to be there for a month, and I only could end up making it a week. And so as people were finding out that I was leaving, they're like, "Oh, like I'm so bummed, and you must be sad that you have to go." And I'm like, "You know what? Really not. Like I I would have been I would have been happy to stay. I would have been really curious to experience what it would be like to do this for 4 weeks straight. Yeah, I'm totally fine to get
Yep.
back into the normal swing. It's like the 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 content, if you will, of my experience is less important than just
Yeah.
experiencing.
Yes. Yeah. We get it. Yeah. And experiencing here, this is an interesting one too. It's like an experience doesn't need to be remembered because it becomes part of me. So looking
Yeah.
back, saying what happened, I got to go, well, I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. Good one. Yeah. Sounds like you're in a good place.
Yeah.
Mm. How's things been for you, Shane?
Pretty normal. Thanks, Vince. What about you?
Yeah, yeah, I'm good. Yeah. So what does normal mean? Have you been suffering over the last week?
Yeah, pretty normal level of suffering.
Mm. Do you recognizing what triggers it?
Um, yeah, I guess sometimes. Um, One interesting thing is other people, as in just regular, you know, people that you might interact with, family or, work or something. And I find it easy to get sucked in still to the
Mm.
drama and the complaining, you know, and the negativity.
Mm.
It's like I'm kind of actually surprised how easy it is
Hmm.
for me to get sucked into that.
What's
Um,
your reaction to that when it happens? Do you think you shouldn't do it?
uh, I feel like I would prefer to not do it because
Well, that makes sense, but I'm looking for is there part of you that comes down on that with a judgment?
I think there is. I don't think it's too harsh, but I think there is a judgment
Hmm.
there. Has to do with like, you know, by this stage kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? Like after this length in time, why bother to still get drawn into that kind of thing? Or
Mhm.
But it's not like it's not. I think it bothers me because it's not a choice. Like I unconsciously will get sucked in, and then it's like, oh,
Yeah.
why am I complaining about this? Um,
Here's the thing that comes to mind, and that is that whatever triggers, whatever appears to be the situation that you're responding to is not what it's about. That's the surface level that that you respond to, but you're actually being triggered by something that else that exists in you. And time is irrelevant. We can carry these things around for 50 years and still
mm,
because it's really not about how long. In fact, the longer we've had them, the more habitual they become. But essentially, it's a case of developing the skill to recognize what they sit on top of. Right. So family are particularly good at triggering us because we don't have the social armor, if you like, with family that we do with other people out there. So with other people out there, there's a bit of us that always wants to be kind of polite, if you know what I mean.
yeah,
With family, we'll go, well, fuck that, we're just going to let it come out if it wants to come out. So
yeah,
family are really good at triggering stuff. So we've
mm,
got to thank them for that. But it's whatever they say that we're responding to is not what's really been triggered. That's just the external part of it. What's really going
yeah,
on is some belief that we've got inside ourselves that says this shouldn't happen or what am I? So one of the things that I find really useful is my response a defensive response? Right? Am I immediately going, oh, I'm not like that. That's unfair or something along those lines. It's a
mm,
defensive kind of reaction, right? They're the ones where identification is still strong. We still believe that there's something should be different.
yeah,
Yeah. In a lot of cases, the things that it's sitting on, those beliefs that give rise to whatever triggers us, in a lot of cases they're not a big deal. They're not even that deeply buried, they're just there. But until we recognize them for what they are, they will keep reoccurring. So, and usually a recognition of not, see if somebody calls you something, blah blah, they call you an idiot or say you're ugly or something like that, and you respond, uh, then it could be something like, that's the way I really believe about myself, right? So there's a belief there, or it could be a belief that it's wrong that they do that. They shouldn't do that. People should behave the way I think that they should behave. Could be that kind of a belief. It could be whatever. But if we get to the belief in ourself that rests on and see that, it usually will dissolve pretty easily. Occasionally it'll come back a little bit, but by the time you've seen it a couple of times, it won't come back unless it's something really fundamental, and that does happen. That there can be some pretty deep shit down there that a whole lot of other stuff rests on. It's something that Panilla calls a toxic starting point. But we're talking about pretty early age trauma, if that kind of thing exists. But lots and lots and lots of variations can exist on top of that at the same time. So get rid of that stuff and a whole lot of things will fall. But in the beginning, we presume that they're not that. They're just stuff that comes up because it hasn't been seen through. So when somebody triggers us, the an appropriate I'm smiling because I keep thinking, you know, we there's always this implication that it should be this way or it shouldn't be this way or it should be that way and so on. But a good habit to get into, at least mentally, if somebody does something that triggers us, is we thank them, even if we only thank them mentally. Of course, if we do it out loud, that can lead to some pretty strange situations. But at least mentally, we're saying, thank you for giving us this opportunity to look at something. And that changes our attitude towards it. We're no longer being defensive, you see. We're being inviting and yeah, have a different attitude towards the whole thing.
Hmm.
So instead of the judgment, the the attitude that is most productive, if it happens, if it can happen, and let's hopefully this will be a seed where it might sprout and become that, the attitude will be, isn't that interesting? I got triggered by that. I wonder what's going on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can do like some of what you've said. I can do it sometimes. Yeah. Um, it's a work in progress, I
Oh, but
guess.
it's for all of us too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, and I have been conscious of for some time, I suppose, of like the underlying, questioning what the underlying root is of a trigger. Um, but I'm just trying to think about like, I don't know. I don't know how often I actually feel like I um get to the source of those things. Which is maybe that's part of why I brought this up because like, and this is sorry, this is just I hope this is not going around in a circle. This is just saying what I just said, I guess. But yeah, going out, it's like, keeps recurring, and so I'm wondering why it keeps recurring. And
Hmm.
um, yeah, I don't know.
So you're saying that it reoccurs after you've examined what it might be resting on, what might have triggered it?
Well, I suppose my examination maybe just doesn't really get very far. Um, so maybe I don't discover.
Okay, well let's talk about the examination thing, that because that is an important one. So what we want to do is develop skills here. We want to develop the ability to be productive with this kind of stuff. Um, and examining it. So when we say examining it, people can often go, "Oh, well, I've thought about it from every angle that I can possibly think about it." That's not going to get anywhere. Right? The examining it doesn't mean thinking about it. So thinking about it is a good way to avoid it. Thinking is one of the prime avoidance behaviors that we have with getting close to what this stuff is about. We can either get a thinking thing going and our mind can go crazy, and the mind will seduce us down rabbit holes all the time, saying, follow me and I promise you satisfaction if you come with me down this rabbit hole. And of course it never delivers, does it? So the idea of thinking about it, although it's very attractive, is not a way to go. What is most productive is to get intimate with it. And the way to do that, the skillful way to do that, is to invite clarity about what's going on in the body. So by asking yourself what is the sensation, you can start with what is the feeling, and then recognize that feelings are sensations with stories attached. Right? And then remembering that the mind, where the stories are, is going to lead us astray. So what we need to do is we need to approach the sensations and get intimate with the sensation. And when the stories come along to divert us, and we can assume pretty correctly that every story that comes along is a diversion. So no thoughts are to be trusted in this case. You go towards the sensation. Now, that doesn't mean that you dismiss this, that the thoughts are your enemy. They're not. The stories are not your enemy. They have good intentions. They're trying to keep you away from the pain of getting down into here. So what you're looking to do is get closer and closer to the sensation component of the feeling, whilst noticing that a story appears and what it is about, but not engaging with it. Now that's can be a bit tricky. So we notice it, but we're not going to let it suck us into chasing it and going where it wants to take us. We're just noticing that it exists and that it is about something. And then we go on with getting closer and closer to the sensation. And as you do that, you're skirting away from all of the diversionary tactics, all of the distractions that are going to keep you away from that, and things will reveal themselves. That's the skill to develop. And I mean, it sounds easy when I say it like that, but by golly, your thoughts are you, and they know exactly where your buttons are to press them. So they're incredibly skillful at sucking you in and taking you away from this. But it's kind of a basic skill that's so valuable in a lot of ways, because not only when we're talking about stuff that triggers us, but when we're talking about the so-called real world out there, our thoughts get in the road all the time with us. Instead of relating to actual things and people in the world, we always end up relating to our ideas of them. And so recognizing this same skill here is involved in this. Yeah. So once we can debunk all of these diversionary kind of thinkings, tactics, we can get down to where our thoughts can be pretty helpful and useful. But at the moment, no, you can say 100% of your thoughts should be ignored, essentially. You don't need them. You know how to drive, you know how to shit, you know how to shop, you know how to do everything without a thought. Thoughts only ever turn up later and go, yeah, I'll take credit for that. Yeah. So what there's no self, don't you? That I think I got that one from you before. It's quite clear that you know that there's no self running the show, right? But it's really hard to go, well, what about thoughts? Aren't they part of the self? Ah, they're just there, just like the breeze when you go outside. They're just there.
Yeah, yeah. I think I have some skill in dealing with thoughts in that way. Not so much in paying attention to the sensation in the body that's underneath the thought, the feeling as you were describing. That's something I'll have to try.
Hmm. It takes a bit of development, a bit of practice to get good at that. But yeah, it's
Yeah,
a good one.
yeah.
Hmm. I could only see Charmaine's name there, you girls, and I don't remember your names if I did know them.
Bella. Oh, how do you do it? What if I don't? It's okay, you speak now. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Can you hear us?
Oh, yeah.
So I'm Debbie.
Debbie? Hi.
We met briefly on a call with
Yeah,
the
yeah,
group with Shane a few weeks ago.
yeah.
Yeah.
Bella.
Bella, yeah. I feel like I
And
should
you
remember
guided me
both of you,
through the
but I don't.
deepest dive the other week.
Right, yes. Now it comes back to me a little. Yeah. How are you guys?
We're on a retreat
Oh, okay.
in the
You're
in the Isle of Man with a group of people that we
mm,
work with.
right.
So we've been meeting on retreats for about 3 years. And what I've spotted is that every time we're on a retreat, I can't eat. And I feel like I've accepted that I can't eat when I'm on a retreat, except for this time. And the sensation is that I'm hungry, sit down to eat, we order the food comes, it smells nice, it looks nice. I'm in the company. But when I try to eat, it's like the stomach doesn't want it, and there's a feeling of nausea, and I can't get it down the throat. And last night, I'm feeling a bit tearful now actually talking about it, but last night I got very upset about it and also really angry about it.
Mm.
But that's all I know about it.
So, Debbie, tell me the first thing that comes to mind when I ask you, what can't you swallow?
Well, it looks like the food that I'm trying to eat. I don't know after that, Vince. I
Mhm.
don't know how to
All right, let
get
me
under.
try.
I don't know what the in is on it.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So I just want the first thing that comes to mind, and that was the physical thing, the actual thing, and but I'm talking metaphorically to a degree. But okay, maybe it's not that you can't swallow something, maybe it's you can't stomach something. What is it you can't stomach? I just want the first thing that comes to mind.
Well, the first thing that came to mind was myself.
Right. Yeah, yeah. Well, maybe you see yourself in that way. Yeah. Who knows? Yeah. How did you feel when you thought of myself?
I didn't feel anything about
No,
that.
but you were
But I do feel upset generally right now. Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah. So you were thinking then, I was asking you how you feel, and you went to your mind to
Mm.
find the answer.
How does it feel to say that I can't stomach myself?
Yes, yeah. What is the feeling that's there in the body? The feeling.
That makes me want to cry more.
Yeah.
Makes me feel sad.
Sad. Okay, sadness. Yeah, yeah. That's pretty reasonable, isn't it? To feel that way about yourself is pretty sad, eh? Yeah.
Mm.
Where first thing that comes to mind again, where would something like that come from?
Um,
Okay, you're
that's what I
thinking
wanted.
again, you're thinking. Let me ask you, what's the youngest that you can remember feeling that way about yourself? Not happy with who you were, or even let's go a bit further and say disgusted by who you were.
Um, so the story is I grew up with a lot of criticism and disapproval.
Yeah. But that's a story again. Do you remember?
Yeah.
Do you remember feeling it as a toddler, or at primary school, or at what's the youngest you can remember feeling that way about yourself?
Don't remember not feeling it.
Forever. Okay. Always. Yeah. Oh boy, that is sad, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So you must have got some self-worth from somewhere. What were you good at? What helped you
I
cope
don't feel
with
like
that
I'm good at
feeling?
anything. I think
Oh,
I'm competent at a lot of things, lots of things, very competent, but I don't feel like I'm good at anything.
yeah. So competency wasn't enough to get approval. You had to shine to get approval. Yeah. Mm.
Uh-huh. But shine in a particular way
Yeah.
that I could never work out what that was.
Right. Yes. Oh, that made it hard, eh? Yeah. Had to be there, but you didn't know what had to be there. Wow. Yeah. And of course, getting competent is kind of driven by that stuff, isn't it? You know, you can thank that feeling for being so competent in things. It's
Mm.
that was your way to handle it, I guess. Get get driven. Yeah. So one of the great things about the group that you're in is that you get support when you can allow yourself to sink into these things.
Mm.
Do you find that you can get in touch with young Debbie?
Yeah, I have done a few times over the last months. So I was separate from the group for about 9 months. I was very triggered by something that happened in the group, and I didn't know how to say I've been triggered without thinking that there was going to be some kind of conflict.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I spent quite a long time with that. Charmaine helped me with that, but I've forgotten what you said, Vince.
Okay. Mhm.
Being in touch with Little Deb, is that what you said? Yeah, Charmaine helped me to do that, and I also saw some of it myself, seeing
Mm.
patterns and
Yeah. Have you had a conversation with little Debbie?
uh,
Oh, just
yes, I think yeah, I've spent some time with her. A few
right.
different versions of her.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Have you have you heard her? Have you heard her pain, her,
Yeah. Hmm.
her frustration?
No, not that, I don't think.
Do you think she's got frustration?
think that showed itself last night with not being able to eat again.
Mm.
And what is it? You know,
Mm.
why?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Even get a bit angry about it. Yeah.
Yes, I got angry about it.
Mm. Did it occur to you to thank it for
Oh.
being so blatant in what it's trying to show you?
No, I haven't thanked it. No, I didn't think to thank it.
Right. Okay. So it's not something we don't want it to go away
Mhm.
until we can see what it's resting on, what it's about. If it goes
Yeah.
away, then we don't get the opportunity to see what's there. So and it's brilliant in its how blatant it is. It's just right up front, isn't it? It's just shouting at you something really, really loud. Yeah.
Yes. Hmm.
So I love organ language and the idea of you couldn't swallow something or you can't stomach something came to mind. Do you have any other organ language come to mind that you might apply to that? I don't like the taste of it. That could be a bit of organ language, but that's you didn't even get to put it in your mouth, so that one doesn't apply. Yeah.
I don't know.
Mm.
I don't know. I don't know.
Mm, mm. That sounds a bit juicy. I don't know. You said 3 times then. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Why don't I know? It sounds good to me. Yeah. Mm. On the surface, the idea is it's something to be fixed. Well, that's just too much. Um, it's too obvious that that is just a way of avoiding what it's trying to tell you. Just, so the moment we put any energy into just wanting to fix it, uh, we miss the opportunity again. So you've experienced this on other retreats, but only on retreat?
Every retreat
Oh,
in 3 years, every time we've met together.
but at no other times, only at retreats?
Mhm. That I can recall.
That'll do. Yeah. Okay. I mean, that's really interesting. So there's something about the retreat that does that. So do you guys go out and have meals kind of socially or as a group at other times? Or is it only
So
retreats that you eat together?
we've been out for meals as couples. Like a couple of us would meet and go
Yeah.
for something to eat, and I don't recall there being an issue then.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
we've
Yeah.
eaten out and we've eaten out. It seems to be when we're all together.
Right. Okay. So that was my next question, and you already answered it. It's not about the fact that you're on retreat. It's about the fact that you're all together.
Possibly, yes, yeah.
Yeah. So it's your intuition that we need to consult for whether these things I'm saying have got any accuracy or whether there's any juice there. You know, not your mind. You just what you feel. You know, does it feel?
Uh,
Yeah. Mm. Um, so as a group, see, this is an interesting one. As a group, there is an identity that only exists when you're all together. That that group identity kind of thing. Yeah.
so what's coming is like I feel less than, not as good as. the rest.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
I think that shows itself when we're all together. The general feeling of not being good enough or
Yeah.
not being enough,
Yeah.
because with such beautiful people, open, loving, you know,
Right.
I can say what I need to say, and I'm not judged by it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Can you see
So
the
why
paradox?
these people of all people, you know?
Yeah. Can you see the paradox in what you just said? That
Yes.
you can be open and say what you need
Yeah.
to say, which is exactly how you're describing them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But yet there is that this highlights for you, this situation highlights for you that not okay attitude
Yeah.
toward yourself that you've had for as forever, for as long as you can remember, forever and
Yeah.
ever. Yeah. Have you have you hugged
Pardon.
have you hugged little Debbie? You've heard her. You've had conversations. Have you loved her? Have you hugged her? Have you?
I have loved her,
Mhm.
held her.
And how she reacted to that?
Um, well, well,
What do you mean by well?
she's been receptive to being held.
Mm.
She's been grateful to have been recognized.
Yet she's stayed back there in the past.
Um, so there's some parts, little Debs, that I've seen that I know are here. They've been welcomed back here. Different versions of little Deb.
Mm-hmm. Can you specify what parts didn't?
Um, so um so it's all disappeared, obviously. Most recently, I suppose, a part that had been I want to say violated in quite a public way. Um,
So
Most recent.
yeah, yeah. How does she feel about that part? Does she is she guilty or ashamed or
Oh,
frightened
yeah,
or
yeah.
what?
Frightened,
Frightened, yeah.
frightened and ashamed.
Right.
Marked.
Frightened of what?
like didn't know when it was going to end or where it was going to end up,
Yeah.
when it was going to end or where it was going to end up, and then lots of shame around it being discussed by others and
Mm-hmm.
feeling humiliated.
Yep. Yep. And needing to not display that part. I was
Not
going to
display.
say, I was going to say keep it hidden, but it's not being hidden, is it? But it's not. But it's certainly not being offered up.
No, I mean I didn't even say it to anyone until Thursday. The
Okay, that recently, right?
first
Oh,
time, like
yeah,
I was about 9 and I'm 59 now. Like that's the
yeah,
first time that I've spoken about it.
yeah, yeah. It's amazing how we can. Well, 50 years of is 1 second. Yeah. Okay. So how were you feeling when you did discuss it? Were you still feeling
Relieved.
ashamed and sorry?
I
Free?
was relieved.
Relieved? Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yet a moment ago it was like you were saying that that part is still there. So it wasn't a sufficient relief to say to dissipate it. It's still that what's hanging on? What is left that needs to be expelled, expressed, x something.
I don't know.
Nothing came to mind.
No.
Okay. Without doubt, I imagine that was it in the group or just with another individual that you spoke about it? Did you speak about it?
Um, we did a breathwork session in the morning as a group, but I didn't actually, so that didn't come to mind in the breathwork session. But some hours later, um, I didn't even know I was going to speak about it, but I spoke about it with Charmaine and there were two others as well. Um, and since then, I've talked about it to other members of the group or explained
As individuals or as a group?
as individuals.
Right.
Like I feel okay to tell you. It's okay to tell you this now.
Mm-hmm. So why didn't it? Why is it still there? Hasn't it dissolved completely? What part of it is not okay?
I don't even know if it's that. I suppose is that, like, everything happens just as it should do, and knowing that, but feeling like that shouldn't have happened.
Yes, yes. And yeah, the first bit's just mental bullshit,
Mm, I
and
know.
so's the second bit too. But
Right.
there's juice in the second bit, isn't there? That's where that's where the hook still is. That it shouldn't have happened. Yeah.
Mm.
Do you do you ever can you imagine that you will ever get to the point where you will thank it for happening, for being a really important part of your development, of you being able to be here and open now because of that, amongst other things, of course.
Can I see myself ever saying thank
Yes,
you?
yes. Can you imagine that ever happening?
Um, so I want to say yes, I can because of other things that I can thank that I wouldn't have thought I could have thanked. Yeah, so I can see that that can happen, but
But
I don't know if that's now.
yeah, sure, yeah. So can you feel that little bit that's just holding that in reservation? Can you feel that little stretchy string that's kind of still connected there somewhere? If I say to you,
I
look
actually
around
feel
your
the
body,
nausea of that actually.
the nausea about it. Oh, now that's interesting.
Yeah,
We've come back
yeah,
a full circle to the food thing here.
yeah,
Yes, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And I was going to ask you where in the body, and when you put your hand in your stomach. Yeah, yeah, there you go. Right. So there's still a little hook there about that. So there's still that. Oh, when you say nausea, we could say there's still something that makes me sick about this, which is probably associated with it shouldn't have happened.
Hmm.
Right? The belief that it should never have happened. Now
See,
that
I want to go. That's enough now. That's enough. Talk to someone else now.
are you serious, or are you just recognizing that
No, I'm just telling you that's
yeah, yeah,
what's happening.
yeah, yeah, I don't want to let it go at this point. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know why you're saying that? Because we're really close there, yeah. Now I've forgotten my train of thought. That was a good
I'm
dog.
sorry.
Don't be sorry. It's
We're talking about it shouldn't have happened.
yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. And it makes me sick that it happened. It makes me sick, yeah. That nausea, yeah. All right, yeah, I've got it again now. So the next thing that comes up is something that always strikes home for me as beautifully. A recent revelation that I had was that I think that the world should be how I think it should be. And I wonder if
Mhm.
that makes sense to you. Do you? So that idea that it should never have happened rests on this idea that I know what's right and wrong. I know that that was wrong and
Mhm.
therefore should never have happened. Right. So the idea of you having, and I'm asking you rather than telling you, that you might have a really strong idea about how things should be. Is that a thing for you?
I suppose, yeah. I don't know if it's any stronger than anyone else's, but
That's
you
irrelevant.
know, uh, but yeah, I suppose, yeah, I do.
Yeah. And I'm
People should
hearing in
be
your
kind to each
voice
other.
that that's okay. That you think that's a reasonable thing to think. But it's kind of a bit like saying the wind shouldn't blow and the rain shouldn't fall and the sun shouldn't.
Yeah.
Mm. So it's a tricky one, isn't it? I mean, of course it shouldn't have happened. That's true. But a whole lot of things that shouldn't happen do happen. A whole lot of the world shouldn't be the way it is. There shouldn't be any of these wars that are going on. How crazy are they? But they
Mhm.
are. So can we find acceptance? Can we find in the inevitability of what is past being unable to be changed? In that inevitability, can we find acceptance? Not about the rightness of it, but about the fact that it happened.
I want to say yes.
But there's always a but there.
Yeah.
would that but be?
I suppose it was. It shouldn't have happened to me.
Okay, that's a good one. That's it's not just about the unfairness in the world, it's about the personal nature of this particular one. Yeah.
I didn't deserve that.
Right. Absolutely. It's unfair.
Unfair.
Mm.
It's funny, just 2 minutes before we came on the call, we were talking about things that our fathers used to say to us. And one of the things that my dad said to me when I said to him one time, but Dad, that's not fair. He said to me that, you know, there's a lot of unfairness in the world, Debbie, get your head around it. Life's unfair.
And that's unfair, isn't it?
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
I don't for a moment imagine that you would say it's unfair because it happened to me and it's okay if it happens to somebody else. I don't imagine
No,
that's an issue at all. But yet there is a hook in that it happened to you. That's a strong one, isn't it?
mm,
Yeah.
if it happened to somebody else, I could recognize that you know, it shouldn't have happened to them. But then you can walk away from that,
Yeah.
and all you have from it is, well, you know, it shouldn't have happened to them. But when it's happened to me, to you, to me,
Yes. Yep.
then it walks away with you,
Yes.
you know.
Exactly. Yeah. It changed something in you. Something fundamental in you changed as a result of that. And that's what walks away with you. That's what's still there. That's what we're looking to loosen
Mm.
now so that it can dissolve. That's something that makes you sick.
Something just came up for me and wonder if I can
Yes,
share it.
yes, please.
Some thoughts related to some things that you had said earlier. Um, when you were talking about competence versus being good. Um, and I wonder if there's any truth to this in you, and that is that, and also being like what I interpreted as being like judged by the group, and that this shouldn't have happened to me, but it did because I'm not good enough, or like some sort of um, quality of you that was susceptible or let this happen or allowed it to happen.
Or deserved it.
And because I wasn't good enough, it happened to me, and I don't want to share that with others, because if it had happened to somebody else, I would have just seen that it was simply happening, and I don't judge them for it happening to them. But I think that others will judge me because it happened to me. And it shouldn't have happened to me, and it wouldn't have if I had been better. Is there any truth to?
I don't have those thoughts
Okay.
about it.
Okay.
I don't. Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know if the not eating is even attached to this. or just part of it. But I really would like to stop now.
Okay. I certainly honor that. But when you say stop, do you mean stop interacting with us, or stop thinking about it yourself, or stop feeling it yourself?
Stop talking about it now.
Mm.
It's
Yeah.
enough now. Feels
Yeah.
like it's enough now.
So I would like to suggest that a good thing for you to do now would be to go and meditate somewhere, go and sit by yourself and dismiss every thought that turns up, and just stay in contact with your body and just let that sink in. Whatever comes up, just let that happen. Um, for a good half an hour or so, see what happens. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It was often the case of wanting to stop because you're getting close to something as well.
Mm.
Thank you, Deb. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. I'll go and do that now.
Mm.
Vince, this really struck home here as Charmaine was hitting on it shouldn't have happened to me. And I could continue on from where she was because it's really resonating here.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems to be associated with my place in the family. Like, it shouldn't have happened to me that I was scapegoated. It shouldn't have happened to me that, like, my whole place in the family, the way the family related to me, and it's like a very strong meanness here.
So is that shouldn't have happened for you something about unfairness?
Yeah, like it's unfair that my brother was like the golden child. It's unfair that it was a patriarchal setup. It's unfair that my father was narcissistic. It's unfair that I didn't get to flourish. Yeah, I didn't realize how much unfairness I thought there was there.
Mm. And what part of your body have you carried this in? What part are you seeing it, feeling it now?
Oh, my whole body just feels warm. It just feels really warm, like it went up like 10 degrees. Oof, feels like I'm on fire inside. Oof.
And it's your whole body.
It's my whole body. It feels like tingly and prickly and like, oh, so uncomfortable. It goes all the way up to my head. But it's, oh yeah, it's mostly on the periphery. It's like sharp needles.
Mm. And this has been there forever too?
I guess I didn't even know it was here.
Mm. Oh, well.
It's so nice to see it and to just recognize it.
Mm. Thank you, Debbie.
Yeah. Thanks.
So I get the feeling that you're experiencing a release from this.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's moved through now.
Mm. Yeah. I love the way you can just sink into that stuff and let it come out. That's just beautiful the way yeah, it's you're now I'm tearing up. You're a great example of not hanging on to stuff. That's beautiful. Mm.
Mhm. Feels so good when it moves through and feels so good just to experience. I'm just grateful for those moments when I can really just sink into it and let it be. Let it be seen and let it be felt.
And isn't it amazing how we can carry this stuff and not even know we've got it?
I know.
That's
It's
something.
wild.
Mm.
It's wild. And it feels like too that it just keeps like you just keep going deeper and deeper and getting at things that is tucked away and hidden away and yeah, all of it just wanting to be recognized and felt and seen and heard and loved.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, so oh God, there are so many parts of us that just want acknowledgement.
Oh,
Yeah.
totally. That's all so innocent.
Mm.
And that's the thing about this sense of it was unfair is that there was also the belief that there was the seeing of the innocence being trampled on,
Yeah.
and then recognizing, oh, innocence can be trampled on and it's still there.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. You
It
can't
doesn't
distance. That's
get, yeah, yeah. It's like it's okay because the innocence is still there. I thought that maybe the innocence had gotten, there was
yeah.
this belief maybe that the innocence had gotten destroyed, but no,
You can only
it's
be recovered.
indestructible.
Yeah, that's right. Beautiful.
I think it's indestructible, the innocence.
Mm. It's part in my fantasy. It's part of the a basic human nature that we all are, is that innocence, that love that's there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. And it almost feels like, oh, it's so sweet. It feels like that little girl. Oh, it's just being so fully held and recognized. Oh, it's so sweet to see her in her innocence, just
Yeah.
opening up the screen door to go outside and play. Just so sweet and just so innocent.
Mm.
Yeah.
And what we want to do is bring her into the present. Bring
Yes.
that is part of us now.
Yeah.
When we go back and love and hug her and so on, we can bring her up into the present with us. Integrate her
Yes.
out of us. Man. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh. I invited her to come and play in my heart. Come and play in my heart. Let's play together. Ah, let's play together. Right here. Oh, that's just so sweet. Just so sweet. Yeah. She's right here in my heart. She's excited to play. I can't wait to see what unfolds with that. The joy of play.
As adults, we tend to lose our ability to be playful. And that even
Yes.
we take play seriously sometimes.
Yes, we do. Mhm.
And a really interesting question is, how does this stuff relate to waking up? You know, it's like an interesting one, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
I was saying to Scott earlier that it's it, in my fantasy is that it's wrong to say, well, not wrong, but it's misleading to say that we have to put a spiritual connotation to this stuff, because that's not what it's about. What it's about is being fully human and recognizing this stuff in us. We also recognize the flavor that our mental misconceptions put on things. You know, that
Yeah.
how they keep us away from what's actually going on. And that's what it's about, you know, that's what it's not about anything spiritual. It's about something so basic that it's actually, I said to Scott earlier, it's about a human being. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And for me, I don't know, it's so much about welcoming all these parts that have been disenfranchised and avoided and cut
Absolutely.
off. That's the meat of it for me,
Yeah. Yeah.
welcoming it all.
Yeah, Irene, just wanted to say it was lovely to be here with you and witness that. And yeah, you when you said it was unfair, I really felt that. And but what I wanted to say was, and now you have a new family as well.
Hmm. Yes.
Part of this that I find so wonderful, and um, I'm curious of whether this is what you just experienced, Irene. As Debbie was speaking, I saw you close your eyes, and it seemed like you were just sitting and being present with whatever was arising in your body and your thoughts. And I'm curious about when you started to speak and verbalize those things about how much it was resonating with you. Were you sharing with us the thoughts that had arisen minutes before, or were they completely fresh and new?
I was touching into the experience of it's not fair, it's unfair. I was just touching into the feeling of that. And there weren't a lot of thoughts about it. It just felt more like a gestalt of like my place in the family and all of that. I don't know. It's always challenging for me to go back and kind of look and see how it all happened. That's challenging for me. Mostly it's just a feeling and go, as she was talking and when she was ready to stop, it was bubbling up in me.
Hmm.
And so it was almost like, she opened the portal for me to step in. And then I'm always amazed with how fast, really, this process occurs, that it's usually literally just minutes for something to move through. Maybe that was a pretty big one, but that one probably took what, 3-4 minutes for it to move through, 5 minutes. It doesn't take long. It really is amazing how if there's I don't know, it just moves really fast.
I think what I'm getting at is I have found that when I have experiences like that, it's much more intense when I am speaking about it out loud with other people who are in my presence. And it's not, the volume isn't as high if I'm just alone. And I'm not sure if I'm projecting, but it seemed like once you were sharing with all of us what you were experiencing, it's like the volume got turned up. And then a minute ago, even when you shared something else, then you laughed out loud. And I'm curious about whether you have that same intensity of experience when you're by
Yeah.
yourself versus when you're with others
No,
sharing it.
when I'm by myself too. But it's
Okay.
it's lovely here because there's just such it's amazing how much safety there is with all of you. And you know, it's so lovely to be able to just, let it flow here. It's not something that I have to just do in private. That's what's so lovely, is that we can just share it. And that's amazing to me, to be in a group of people where I can just be with it when it comes up. It's like, gosh darn, what a gift is that? That is such a gift. And to know that, whatever work I'm doing is also like the work that was being done previously. It was such a gift to me. We're such a gift to each other, aren't we? It's just lovely. I'm so grateful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Has anything shifted for you, Dennis?
Um, not really. I suppose for the last, since the start of the meeting, I've just been lost in Debbie's and Irene's uh, sharing. I was watching my mind kind of wonder what the problem was, but even looking at Debbie talking, there was a sense of there's absolutely nothing wrong. She's been very unfair to herself. And he got her to that cliff edge where Irene slipped in, took the baton, and did a home run, which was lovely. I was saying the last time, we're not being able to watch telly, and yet for those 3 minutes, just watching Irene let go and allow it to. In one way, it's very simple. Like she just had a good cry and let something release, and we find that so difficult to do as people. And I can have a story about, well, feminine and women can cry more easily, but Debbie showed us it's difficult just as much for women. Some women and others maybe have a little bit more an ability to just be vulnerable in the space with other people. I do think being with other people adds an extra layer to it because the witnessing of it. And then you said something about what's all this got to do with awakening? And it's very obvious, like in Irene's case there, that clearing that stuff or healing that or just allowing it provides more space. And then that space is where awakening continually happens. Because I could see a sort of a masculine piece coming in and going, oh, this is all whatever, let's just wake up. Then we can sort stuff out. But it's that too. But what was very obvious was there's nothing wrong with people. There's nothing wrong with Debbie. There's nothing wrong with Irene, except what we're believing.
So can you say that for Dennis too? Say it and see how it feels.
There's nothing wrong with me. Yeah, it feels good. Not
So
triggering anything.
yeah, it was quite easy to accept. Try it in the third person. Say there's nothing wrong with Dennis and see if that feels different to nothing wrong with me.
There's nothing wrong with Dennis. I know that one feels a bit different. Because even when you said it, I started laughing. It's like if I objectify Dennis into something and then say there's nothing wrong with Dennis. It's like all the other people that I believed thought there was something wrong with Dennis is in the room. Which makes me think then that I'm all those other people. And that's how easy language can just tweak something slightly to go, holy shit. Because I'm all right, but Dennis is all right. There's a bit more to that one.
Jesus, I almost feel apologetic to say, but man, you sound pretty awake to me.
Yeah, actually, that was another thing that comes up, and it came up at the start. It's funny, we've got to go to our direct experience. You had made a comment at the start, and something in me thought you were going to say something about me. And there was a lifting in me. It was like a rising of, see me, see me, see me. And you didn't. And I was like, and I sunk back down again. So that was interesting. But it's similar to when you keep asking me about awakening. I'm like, there's a part going, oh yeah, ask me, but I'm not. And I'm like, okay, I have to deal with this sort of, it's something to do with wanting to be seen or something wanting to be seen. And when it's not, it's like, and then the mind says it should be the opposite. You should be just relaxed and chilled. And when something is said or recognized, then you're like, oh, that was about me. Instead of everything being, is that about me? Is that about me? So I don't know what that is, Vince. That's an interesting one. And you just triggered it again by going, that sounds pretty awake. There's something like going, oh, would you just stop with that shit?
Yeah. Look, it's a really interesting one. I notice myself, I notice that when I see my name, or when I hear my name, or when I expect to hear my name, that there's that little lift thing there as well. Now, and I question, is it ego, is it puffery going on, or what it is, but regardless, it is there. It does happen, so I
Yeah,
I don't think it's, a case of it shouldn't happen. I think it's
yeah. I'm
oh,
open to that too. Maybe it's not a problem, but
yeah,
it's just what's here right now.
yeah. And is it just being seen, or what is it? I don't know about that. See, I don't know if it is the case of being seen, because that kind of also I get a bit embarrassed about that, you know.
Yeah, that comes with it. Yeah, you're right. There's a certain amount of embarrassment that's just gently covered over. Like a child would be much more, and then disappointed and be like,
Yeah, yeah.
they'll express it fully, whereas we just kind of go, oh, okay, say nothing.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah, being seen. Um, the old song came into my head when you said that, the religious song. You know the one, "Here I am, Lord, is it I?"
Yeah, I'm not familiar with it. Yeah.
I can't think of the whole thing. But yeah, I think it's connected to being very young and being a child and in a busy household with lots of siblings and maybe felt like not being seen or given time and attention and all that stuff. Like Irene described a particular role in the family that she had, and mine was probably more of an invisible role, where I seen the Irenes of my family get the raw end of the stick and the blame, and I seen the golden child sort of thing, and I felt like I was something else. Everyone has a role in those things, so and how that affects you.
And
Can I ask a question?
yeah, of course.
Dennis mentioned about when Irene was crying, and just, it's good to see that released and healed. And the question came up for me, well, is it though? Because I've been in quite a lot of deep groups where people, and this is not about Irene, by the way, and I've done it myself where it feels great to cry and get something out and have that release. But then it can come back. So is it healed?
Yeah, when I said that, and there was more going on inside. It may be for some people the beginning of a healing that may need to be acknowledged a few more times for that to be not healed but integrated. And all I saw was Irene as a young person going, "I'm fucking pissed off to how I've been treated. It's not fair." And she had a cry, and she had that cry maybe 30, 40 years later than maybe when she should have had it, but she couldn't back then. So it's just now, and it's been integrated. Maybe there's more integration. It's not getting rid of our healing per se. It's just allowing it to come home.
And it's not really to do with you saying that either, Dennis. It's more a question in my mind of like, I don't know, I've been in groups a long time, and I've seen people come round with things again and again and again, and like almost like therapeutic, and then come to non-duality and say, I was in therapy 40 years and I've been through all this and it didn't do anything.
That's just the current story that needs to be seen through.
Yeah.
Like Adi Shanti says something lovely. Everyone has their dance to dance, and only the phonies don't get enlightened.
Yeah, the people I'm talking about were people who'd had a shift, and
Yeah,
it wasn't
I think
to do with therapy or they'd just seen through the personal self, the separate self that would go into these emotions and things.
I think it's valuable to acknowledge that everybody will have whatever experience it is they have, and for some that will be a genuine release, and for some it will be maybe just an acknowledgement of existence that will keep on coming back because it hasn't been sufficiently something, whatever it is, I don't know. But we don't know, we don't know. As you say, you've seen it in yourself, and I have as well. I've seen it where I've felt like I'm expressing something really deeply and that I would expect that it wouldn't come back, and it does. Sometimes it takes as Dennis was saying, it can be just the beginning. We just can't know. We can't even know for ourselves, let alone for somebody else. We only time, that's the old saying, only time will tell. Well, maybe if it comes back, it comes back. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Who knows? Yeah.
So the question then would be, and again, this is no reflection on, I think it's wonderful what Irene and was it Debbie shared, and I've always loved being in groups where people are willing to be vulnerable and share, and I often do that a lot myself when it comes up. But I suppose it's just a question in the back of my mind that says, does that encourage or put more belief into the fact that there is a separate self that's had a past, that has, had family and, these stories, and then the stories creating the feeling of whatever's going on for them?
I suspect that it's appropriate to consider, to recognize what is there now, and the story component would be about its origin, but to then to express that kind of story could be helpful. Maybe, maybe not. But we're not really focusing on what was there in the past, but rather what is there now. And if when we get close to that, it takes us back to a story of the past, it's often valuable to acknowledge that. So what we're really acknowledging is a current belief that's apparently been there for a long time. But it's the current belief aspect of it that is valuable. That's what we're looking to let go. And we might do that by chasing the story to where it started or where it apparently started.
Mm. Yeah, that's yeah, explains it well.
Yeah, so being authentic isn't really about being authentic with other people. It's about being authentic with ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So if you go in through that story to the belief, to get to the belief, and then the belief makes you have an emotion, yeah,
But the emotion is about what's there now. So the unfairness of something that happened for Debbie a long time ago is
Mm.
that is the feeling that she's carrying now. It just originated back then. And so we have a story that explains that. But it is that felt sense now, that belief now about how it should not have happened, how it was all very unfair. That's there now, and that's what the release is about.
So the release is not the release of emotion, but the release of seeing through the belief in it's not fair.
Yes.
This happened to me.
Yeah.
Is the break point.
Yes, yeah, that's right.
Because it can, yeah, I think it can get a bit confusing of like having to have emotions to release, because actually you don't have to have those emotions. You can see through things.
Can happen, yeah, for sure, yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Because I often think I'm bad when I don't have emotion. Well, I often wonder why I don't have as much emotion as other people.
Yeah.
But I have had a hell of a lot of emotions in.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah,
there is that thing, and I recognize it from back in. See, but it was crazy back when I used to do encounter groups. That was like it was like, are we producing this? Are we faking it? But I tell you, it's amazing how faking it to start with turns into something genuine. So it can happen like that too. I tell you, try an example. Fake laughing, and I mean rolling on the floor laughing, that kind of laughing. And it's as fake as for about a minute. And then next thing you know, you're just cracking up laughing with how absolutely hilarious it is. But you started out faking it. That works. It really does work. Yeah.
Yeah, it does. I've tried that. Do be trying that more often, actually.
Yeah. Even the faking part of it still fills the body with feel-good hormones. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it definitely does.
One thing that's coming up for me, Anne, in response to your question, your initial question about like having a release and this experience of something being lifted off your shoulders, and then but there's more there, and it seems like it's this endless, potentially endless um, endless tank. I'm at a loss for words of like um, those things keep coming up and coming up and coming up. And I guess one of the ways that I've conceptualized it is that it's it's been for me less about having permanently let go of something, although that um, I have found that in itself helpful, but it's also just becoming more skilled at experiencing whatever is happening right now. So that in a sense, like I don't care what comes up later, whether it's sadness or frustration or anger. I have more confidence that I can actually fully experience that instead of distracting myself away and carrying it around with me and affecting other people. I can just feel it in the moment as much as possible because I've had practice experiencing those things more fully, being more vulnerable. And it comes and it goes and then it's gone. And so it's less about, oh, is that story and that feeling and those emotions gone for good and I don't have to deal with that anymore? It's less about that for me and more about, oh, no, it doesn't matter if it comes back or if something new triggers a similar emotion. I can just feel it and let it go.
Mm.
And that almost for me has been more valuable than the letting go. The capacity to let go is more important than, do I have to let go of this again? Am I finally done letting go? Am I finally done experiencing this bodily sensation that I've told myself is terrible and I don't want to feel anymore? Does that resonate at all, or
Yeah,
is it
yeah, it
different?
does. Yeah. Well, yes, it does, because there is a feeling I get quite a lot, but it's hard to put a label on it. And sometimes I wish that it was sadness or crying, because I see people getting a lot of relief and expressing relief and sadness, and like, oh, I want that. But the one I have is not as easy to label, and it's probably around fear, which you don't hear as often in groups. So it's not an easy one to talk about when it's a non-specific fear. So yeah, I understand what you mean, that can keep coming back. And until it doesn't, like you say, you're just willing to experience it. Or how I feel is I haven't got a choice. It's just there. Obviously, I prefer it when it's not there all the time. But yeah, it's I think that's what you were saying. Did I get you right, Jeremy? Willingness to.
I think the part that initially came up was that I had this thought arise that it doesn't matter whether everything is fully released.
Mm. That's really interesting, because I have a bit of a pattern with wanting to understand what's there or why it's there. And because I know when you get to the bottom of it, it completely goes, because I've experienced that sort of black to white and the changes that occur from that permanently. So you saying that just shows me there's still some of that resistance to it, I suppose.
I guess I should clarify. If there is something deep that isn't coming up right now, or not, I don't worry about that. Like if I experience deep sadness in a moment, and I go as deep into it as I can, and I fully feel it, and in the moment there's a sense of release, and I have felt that as fully as I can. I don't worry about whether there's like deeper sadness lurking that I don't know about. It's like, as long as I'm fully experiencing whatever is arising right now, and I have the capacity to do that moment to moment, I can't experience something that's not arising right now. And so
absolutely. When I'm not experiencing it, it's like it was never there and it'll never come back. Sometimes when I am experiencing it, it's like it'll never go, and but when it's not there, it's not there, and you can't imagine it coming back. When it's there, and I can't imagine it going. It's just now. This is what's coming up now to deal with. So I think.
An interesting thing that came up for me as you were talking, Anne, was that these emotional releases that you're referring to, that we've seen, they happen because somebody has got past the fear stage. So they're into what's underneath the fear, underneath the terror. That's where that expression comes from. It's the fear that stops them from getting to that point. It's the fear that is usually the block to that release, because we're still in defensive mode when we're experiencing the fear or whatever.
So sadness comes after fear.
Yeah. When you're
if
heading
it were on a scale, where does anger come?
Before fear. Anger stops us from getting to the fear. Fear stops us from getting to the terror, and terror stops us from getting to the sadness. But terror's sometimes not there, but anyway, that's too general as well. But that's kind of just a way of looking at it.
And would you say, Anne, like, because we kind of started this conversation with Irene's release, would you say then, are you saying that you're angry because you can't feel that way?
Angry. That's interesting. No, I don't think I'm angry. No, I don't feel angry at all. But let me check in. Hang on. No, but there is something there.
Because when I was listening to you and Jeremy talk, I heard Jeremy saying he's free too, and I heard you saying you want to be free from. It was like you were talking about the opposite.
Free from.
It's like this is crude, but it's like he's free to feel, and you want to be free from feeling.
Yeah, I want to be free from feeling fear, I would say. Sadness. I don't think I'm as scared of sadness, but I don't know. I don't experience it much at the moment. But anger, I don't seem to have a problem with anger. But fear, yeah, I would want to be free from. It's not an experience that I find easy to. There doesn't seem that release from it, like when you cry. I think when you cry, it's like at the tip of it, and it's like, woof, and it all cascades. But I think fear, as Vince was saying, actually, it's like that feeling before you're going to be sick, you know, before it comes out. It's like that. And it's good to talk about in this way because I didn't even realise this. Because it's very subtle, the fear. It's not, you know, it's kind of there now. But then
for me, a couple of weeks ago, fear was on the cards, and and what you described there is that kind of collapsing. It was like the collapsing over of anger, that when you can't express anger, it just collapses down into fear, anxiety, an unwillingness to be angry. And to me, being angry is to really show up now in the moment.
This made me realize that crying seems to be an acceptable expression of, for example, sadness. I don't know if I've ever heard anybody scream and yell out of that emotion of fear or anger in this group,
because it's not acceptable in society to do it that way, Jeremy, isn't it?
Yeah, that's how I feel. It's fear and anger are not as acceptable. Although I do think I've seen Irene having a bit of a scream on here. Am I right, Irene? Yeah. She's pretty good at expressing. But yeah, absolutely, it's not as acceptable.
It's also a lot harder to do just like in general, unless you're in the privacy of your car or home, because it's a very physical and loud expression.
I don't think it has to be that way. I think you think it's going to be that way. I don't think it has to be that way.
I don't think fear's loud, is it? Don't feel loud here.
Can I just say something
about anger being loud? Yes, go on. Yeah.
Come back. It's just that idea that what I keep sort of hearing, and I I might be wrong here, Anne, is like that idea that there's an end. Like I'll have expressed it all, and like a goal, or which you might not be saying that, but I've certainly in my own journey, I guess, just had a lot of suppression and things that I've pushed down, and that idea that to be in a role I should have dealt with things, and I don't know, there was a pushing down. There was just so much denial. I mean, that's kind of another subject in a way, but one of the things I'm just loving since I've found non-dual land is just so much more openness. I know I've watched some of the actually I've only watched one of the Three Continents Fetters talks, and it was just amazing to see people who I would call like I might almost perceive as being beyond it, and they're just talking about dead ordinary human stuff that that's still coming up, and it's such a relief. Like this idea of what awakening might look like. It's like, there's a human world of just presence and emotion that there's no end. What's this concept of an end? And I just love what you said, Dennis. Like, it's not free from, it's free to get to that place or that sense. Yeah, the very concept of an end. And you might not have been saying that, Anne. I was just kind of picking up on that felt like that a bit.
Yeah, I mean, you might be picking up rightly. I mean, I think the main thing was kind of a dilemma between, I think an end in terms of there are some things I feel that have been released and it's an end. It's just totally seen through. So it's the end. And then other things that can keep coming up and almost indulging the idea of a separate one. But I don't know if that
I don't know if it's as neat and tidy as that. This is seen through, tick. Oh, that's not seen through yet. Like, it's just what's there.
No, that's just been my experience of things. You know, like just the black and whiteness of it. Just how a belief or an idea can just flip around to something that I really believe, to something that like, oof, well, that wasn't true. And I can't even give you an example because I can't remember, but all I know is it's black. It looks very black. There's a heaviness, there's a black, there's stories, there's thoughts, and then all of a sudden it can just tip over to the other side. You look confused by that. No, you don't.
Saying just that what I said before, there's not an end. There's just presence. Or it's an onion. Just don't know what comes up, what might come up, what might happen in life, what might trigger us.
Yeah, I agree. I was saying to Scott earlier, you know, I kind of got a laugh when people are into the fetters thing and they say, well, I've broken this fetter. And it just seems to me, how can you know you've broken a fetter until you're on your deathbed? You know, because it can always come back. You just don't know, you know. How can you know you're going to stay awake? People go back to sleep all the time. How can you know anything? I don't know anything. And I certainly wouldn't think that, you know, I'm anywhere because I've been proven wrong so many times. You know, it's just, yeah. But I do get what you're saying.
I'm not, if it's coming across that I don't think things should come up or that they should be released or that there should be an end to them. I don't think that's what I'm trying to say. I'm just questioning more of a different way of looking at it. You know, because I've experienced a lot of emotions churning out, and then I've experienced something quite different, which is seen through something. And one felt quite almost indulgent, almost like it's going down the wrong path. And the other one felt, no, that's definitely wolf. You know?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. You know, certainly it can feel like, if we put the emphasis on feel like, that this is a knowing of something. But I wouldn't go as far as to say it won't change. Who knows? Yeah.
Oh no, I know. I've no idea what's going to come up. No idea. That it doesn't really mean anything, that the black to white. It doesn't mean it. I just noticed things drop off in my life then when that's happened. That doesn't appear anymore. So it's seen through. It's not a reoccurrence. But then after that, there can be other shit come up. There's always something to explore.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Hmm.
That's life.
Like, I don't know what this fear's about. I've got no idea. And believe me, I've tried to find out.
Don't believe you, Anne.
Don't believe your heart.
No, I don't believe you.
Oh, you don't believe me? In what part? That's
So
interesting.
you've no idea why the fear is there.
Maybe you don't know that you know.
I could go to my mind for a lot of reasons. A lot of stories, a lot of ideas. But it doesn't help.
Does the
Well,
fear
that's the
have
first
to
story.
be,
Sorry, what did you say, Dennis?
That's the first story. You've already gone to your mind.
In which story?
You just said I could go to my mind and get all sorts of this. That's the first story of your mind you've already gone to and believed.
Well, it's something that's happened. I've been to my mind for stories, gone down the stories avenue. Now the fear's just there. There's nothing to do about it. I prefer it not to be there. It's there in this call. But a story's not going to help me, I don't think.
What are you feeling in your body that tells you that the fear is there?
It's just an uneasy sensation. And that's words, isn't it? There's just a contraction, a slight contraction. Like in my chest, I feel it.
what if it's not about anything?
Exactly.
Like what
Exactly.
if there is no story?
No, because I totally agree. I totally agree, because that's just me no good whatsoever. Looking for the stories, or even they don't come. There's just that. If they come, then they come, but the fear's just a sensation that's there.
And can you feel it?
Pardon?
Can you feel it? Can you
Yeah.
really feel it?
There's fear here in this now speaking.
And can it be allowed? What happens if you just soften with it and it's just here and it's just
Yeah,
allowed
that's
here?
that's why I'm speaking, really, just to be with it while I'm speaking. Just to speak there and try and be honest.
Yeah, but this feels really good, Anne. Now you're feeling it. Can you just feel it?
Yeah.
And any labels or thoughts that come up, just let them float away and just feel it. Notice it.
That's exactly what's been going on as I'm speaking. There's words coming out, but the attention's with the feeling. And the story's coming out. How am I coming across? Should I be doing this? Blah, 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 but it doesn't mean anything. Is it just sensations? Can I be with this sensation while I'm speaking and thoughts and stories go on? It's not comfortable.
Yeah, just let that idea go and feel it.
So what's the first thing that comes to mind if I say, if the fear had a voice, what would it say to you? First thoughts.
I'm scared.
Of?
No one likes me. No one believes me.
Say that one again.
No one believes me. I'm not important. I'm talking rubbish. I hate you. But as I'm sitting with it, it's softening. It's okay.
Is it moving?
Yeah. It's been moving the whole time in this call.
Well, I have to say, I love Fearful Anne. She's authentic, honest, straight to the point, no bullshit. Kind of person people would love to be around.
Oh, thank you. Bless you, Dennis. That's so beautiful. It's a tear to my eye. Yeah, it's still kind of moving. It's kind of between my chest and my throat.
Yeah, just keep feeling it, Anne. And just let all the labels fall away, like chest and throat.
And you're trying to tell me you're not awake, Dennis. I don't believe you.
I'm on
This
the
is
roller coaster with you, Anne. Yeah. I think what happens eventually, we fall in love with it.
Yeah. Just moving around, getting a bit of space, you know, pushing its elbows out a bit. Like, come on, make some space here. Feel that there's a softness with it and allowing more acceptance of it.
And so does it still feel like fear, anxiety? Or is it more aliveness?
Yeah, I'd just say it's more of a neutral. There's still quite a sensation there, but it's more neutral.
Yeah, there's a very thin line between fear and excitement. The sensations can be mistaken for each other. They're so close together. And then if it changes and morphs and moves, it can turn into something quite different.
Mm. It has turned into something different, but I can't really put a label on it,
Mhm.
a name on it.
That's good. When you can't label it, you can only feel it. That's
Mm.
good.
Mm. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks, Dennis. Lovely interaction.
Thank you, Anne.
Mr. Awake, Dennis.
No, it's just great that you showed up. Yay.
It's great that you're awake.
Would you fucking stop?
I love the way the Irish say fucking stop. Right.
Yeah. Fucking stop. Would you fucking stop with all that?
That's a koan, and just think of it that way.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, guys. We need to go now, but Anne, that was beautiful. Thank you. Dennis, you're like on it.
Enjoy
Thanks,
retreat, guys.
everybody else. Thank you so much. Yeah. Thanks,
Say
Vince.
thank
See
you
you
to
soon.
Debbie. Hope she's
Will do.
okay.
Yeah, she's still in her room. She's just gonna lie down. And can I just ask, are you up north?
I am. You are too, aren't you? Is that
Yeah.
where
I live in Bolton.
Oh, lovely. I'm in York.
You're okay. Twink. To that side at Pennines.
And retreats there, do you?
Yeah, we don't do them in that area, but yeah, we try and travel around a bit with them.
Have you got a contact?
If you I can I'll send you a message with my email in the chat here. Yeah.
Yeah,
All
lovely
right.
to hook.
It would be really nice to hook up, definitely.
Yeah.
I'll try and figure out how to send this message to you. Hang on.
There's not that many in the north.
Oh, I
So when
know.
And UK.
There you go. I'll pop it in there.
Thank you very much.
All right, Jen, it'd be really nice to connect with you.
Yeah.
There you go. Bye,
Sorry,
everyone.
what's
Thank you.
your name again?
Sorry?
What's your first name again?
Charmaine. Charmaine.
Oh,
Charmaine.
Charmaine. I'm not used to that name. Okay. Thank
All
you.
right, Janet. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I want to hear from you, Louise. How are things there?
Hi, Vince. Hi, everybody. Yeah, I'm not good.
Oh.
I'm just listening today.
Hmm. Email me if you want to hook up privately. Hmm.
It's been a great meeting. Thank you.
How are you, Bianca?
Sorry about my room. We are in the middle of cleaning up.
Yeah, boxes and yeah.
Stuff, just stuff.
It's amazing how much we accumulate, isn't it? Hmm.
But one thing caught my attention when you said that the fear stops us from feeling terror. And I thought to myself, is it that sadness keeps me from feeling devastation, despair?
Hmm. Yes, yeah. Yeah, it's kind of stupid to talk about them like they are rules, but they're not. They're just indications of things. Yeah. Yeah, devastation's one I haven't thought of, but certainly that it's something like that sits underneath terror usually, because that terror is a last-ditch attempt to keep us away from catastrophe, something really big. Yeah. And devastation, I would put in that category as something really big, isn't it? It's like that's pretty catastrophic. Devastation is, one step away from annihilation.
Other than that, I'm feeling so much distrust.
Distrust of?
Like anything. I don't believe what you say. I don't believe what Dennis says.
Yeah. Do you believe what Bianca says?
Oh, no, not at all.
Well, I reckon you're right. I reckon we're all full of shit, every one of us. And I'm not just being funny. I mean, I am saying that nothing can really be believed for sure. Everything's just an opinion. But that distrust, there's something very protective about it, isn't there? It's something it's like armor that we wear, that distrust. It's there to protect us from something.
Well, I feel a bit like an animal caught in a cage, and when anyone approaches to help, I will bite.
Yeah, yeah.
And I can't do anything about it. It's stronger than.
So of course the animal in the cage or the animal in the corner is in survival mode. It's all that biting is protection again, isn't it? It's all a case of leave me alone, keep away. Don't threaten me.
I think there is some hurt of, I keep going back to this hurt of being deceived. And I was searching for memories, but the area I can find is when I was in high school and we went to shooting range. We have just one lesson of shooting in schools. And there were 2 rounds. In the first round, I was aiming well, but not in the right place. So it was all very close, but not in the center. And we showed it to the teacher, and teacher told me to shoot, to aim higher or lower. I don't remember. And then it didn't make much sense to me, because I remember how I was aiming, and I thought I should aim here, but I did how I was told, and it went just the same, aiming very well, but not at the right place. And after that, I burst in tears. And I felt so stupid, but because I was like, with people that wants straight A's in everything, even in shooting. uh, and girls from my class were consoling me, but Bianca, it's just shooting. But it was not about shooting and not about straight A's. It was about this being deceived by a teacher.
And was that the beginning of not trusting?
Oh, no, I think it was strong then already.
Yeah. Okay.
But I burst in tears like that because
Mm.
I didn't trust myself, but some authority.
Mm. Yeah, it was already
Yeah.
a lot of charge there. Yes. Yeah.
Just I can see this mechanism going even here. Yeah.
Mm. Mm.
Mm.
Bianca, who told you you had to be the best?
It wasn't about being the best. It was that I didn't trust myself more than the teacher.
Mm. Yeah, I picked up on authority, not trusting authority. That seemed to me to be where the juice was.
It was like I betrayed myself
Mm.
because I thought, oh no, I don't know about shooting. Some
Yes.
art teacher is wiser.
Mm. I would hope that you don't see any authority here.
Not so easy. Dennis is awake and everyone agrees.
Well, we have to give him authority, do we? Yeah. No, but when you say authority, I immediately think of an authority figure. That could be teacher, that could be parent, that could be a lot of different roles in your life, depending on what age it first transpired that you felt deceived by authority. If it was young enough, it would be parent. If it was a bit older, a teacher, as you say, or it could be priest, or could be all sorts of situations. The authority we have in our life gets transferred as we get older. Often we'll start with father, and then we'll go to teacher, and then we'll go to government, or then we'll go to God. All sorts of authority can appear in our life. And I agree with you. None of them are trustworthy. They're all human, or even if they're government, they're kind of still humans there, even though they're an institution. Mm. So we can trust them to be untrustworthy. So then does it come down to that they should be trustworthy? Do we have this thing that authority should be trustworthy?
So Bianca, why did you give them so much power?
Plus, I hoped for help.
Why did you need help? Because when you were describing shooting, you were describing it was great fun, and you were just picking targets and shooting, and there was no problem.
It is a help in getting skills.
Yeah, but like life is full of people letting us down constantly. I mean, what's the problem?
I did hear you say something, Bianca, about that you should have trusted yourself more. Was that it?
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't so much that the teacher was untrustworthy, but that you still acceded to his authority rather than trust yourself.
Yes.
So you can't trust yourself to trust yourself. You can't trust that.
Yes, and
Mm.
well, answering to Dennis, I I don't know, is it a problem? I just feel hurt. That's oh,
Okay, well, to embody Alan, feel that now.
hmm,
Where is it located in your body?
my stomach is contracting very much, like going to my spine.
So just feel it and let those labels fall away.
It's hard to breathe because of the contracts.
Be gentle with yourself.
Yeah, I need to release. That's right. I was getting dizzy.
Yeah. Sometimes it's appropriate just to have a start. Nothing has to be finished. Just an opening and leaving it at that can be enough sometimes. Always be gentle with ourselves. No point in pushing anything. Mm.
If you were to label it now, Bianca, what is it?
Hmm?
If you were to label it now, what is it? The feeling.
My face is twitching and it goes, you know, it's horseshoe. But, but
Would it be sadness?
sadness and disappointment.
It's okay to be sad and disappointed.
It's not only okay to be that way, it's also okay to express it.
Great.
Thank you, Bianca.
I
Thank you.
couldn't get to this.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
You looked radiant then, Bianca. I hope you didn't just say, and that's enough now.
Well, I wouldn't like to fake more sadness than I feel.
Feeling good?
Just to show everyone how sad I can be.
It didn't feel like sadness to me. It felt like love.
Maybe.
Mm. I didn't know what was the emotion, what was raging through my body was a huge different emotions, all sorts of things. I didn't know. It was just a big question mark about what you were feeling, but it was intense. I knew it was intense. Yeah. And
Yeah.
now I feel grateful, really grateful. Thank you. Mm.
Do you feel that moves some of the distrust for you, Bianca, a little bit?
No.
Good.
Good.
Who would you be if you weren't mistrusting, huh? Bianca, you just reminded me of something. There's an he's dead now, a mystic poet from Ireland, John O'Donoghue. And he says this thing where he says, we've been so faithfully married to sort of five thoughts, like write down the five thoughts that you've been so faithfully married to for all your life, and literally write them down. And one of them could be your distrust and things like that, and then leave them there. And then another day, sit down and write down five thoughts that you've never flirted with or considered dating, and what they might be. I think the idea is to help you see that we have grooves of thinking, and if we're willing to look at kind of other possibilities, it can crack something open.
There is definitely something to it. Who would I be without this trust? Because I have photos of myself 2 years old, 1 year old, laying on a blanket as an infant, and there is already this distrust.
Yeah, I think a certain amount of it's healthy, and okay.
Well, there's certainly something you can trust, isn't there? You can trust it.
Nice. Yes, this was Santa was here, as I said. But that I trust. Here is always here.
I get distrust a lot, and when I do, I try and push it away because I think you shouldn't distrust. I think it's bad to distrust. That's just what came up here. That's just what I noticed. It's like, oh yeah. Yeah, when I distrust, I really don't like it. I really try and push it away. I think I'm being bad because I don't trust myself. I trust other people. So that means I'm not allowed to distrust them. You know what I mean? Kind of a weird way around, but
That's a big one. Have you been, Phoebe? You're muted.
I'm not sleeping. I sleep maybe 3 hours a night now, and so I've been up since 3, and about an hour ago I took my iPad to the bed and I just napped for an hour listening to you guys. So, but my work's it's coming along. I'm coming down to the wire now. I have a week, and I get a scan made of the work this Friday on the 6th, so it has to be done by the 6th. And
Getting close then, yes. A week away.
yeah, and with artwork, it's done within the amount of time I'm given. I mean, it takes the amount of time I'm given to do it, and there are always areas that I can tweak, and so I'm tweaking and I'm doing that. But I'm pleased with it, so that's big.
Yeah.
If I'm pleased, that's all I ask. If I'm pleased with it, that's
good.
That's it. So I'm pleased with it. But I still haven't even started the 5th figure. So I have 4 of them. 2 of them are pretty much done. 2 of them are almost done, and 1 I haven't even started yet. So, but still, I still have a week, which is plenty of time. I mean, there should be fine.
So have you promised yourself that you'll be able to sleep when it's finished?
Yeah. Yeah, even though my body's in this cycle now where I'm just, and it's not fear. Like at the beginning of the project, it was fear that was waking me up. fear that I wasn't going to be able to do it, or it wouldn't be good. And but it's not fear now. Now it's part of it's excitement and yeah.
Mm.
So but what I got from this project that I've never done before is I just said no to the whole my world for 2 months. No, I can't visit my mother. No, can't babysit. Can't go to my partner's place. It's like all I'm doing is this. And that is a luxury I have never allowed myself. And it's unbelievable. It's just gorgeous. It's gorgeous. It's like, oh my God. But every day I cook food. I walk 3 or 4 times a week, depending on the weather, if it's not raining here. So I get exercise. I try to get sleep. It's not that I haven't slept six hours a night. Periodically, I sleep 6 hours a night. But I just have one more week of, it feels like I have one more week of putting myself first.
Mm.
And then I'm back to caretaking, which I love. That's my identity. I take care of people. Even though it feels like my mom at 99 will still live another 20 years, at some point she's not going to be here. So, but the grandkids, the only way to be part of their lives is to be part of their lives, is to be there when they're little. That's the way it happens. So finding that balance, I guess it's finding a balance is.
Yeah, good trick. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Do you imagine that you might grieve when the job's finished?
It always happens for big projects. It always happens.
Right. So there's a hole left after it's done.
Yeah, because I have a sign on my door, passion follows mastery. And when you work, when you get nuance, when I capture this elusive thing I'm trying to capture, no one deserves that like me. I'm the only one that can appreciate what it took to do it. No one else. People can look at it and they say, oh my gosh, that's amazing. And it's like, yeah, you have no idea.
Yeah.
You have no idea what went into this. You have no idea the minutia of what goes into this. So there's an ownership and there's a giving birth to this thing that doesn't exist in the world other than what I did.
Like having a baby, almost, yeah.
Yeah, and the love that I put into each of these figures, the tenderness that I feel towards each subject. Yeah, it's yeah, there's always grief. Even on little jobs. I did a portrait of a dog earlier this summer that the feeling is, even though they love that dog, I love that portrait. And to have to let go of the portrait after I've done it, it's hard. It's actually hard.
It's like giving away your baby.
It is. It is. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. And then I wonder, I think like my regret is I think back to the first 3 weeks and it was like, oh, baby, if you could have only gotten into it faster, if you could have only gotten to this place 3 weeks ago, but when I start, it's especially ambitious stuff. I'm like, I have no idea how I'm going to do this. I mean,
but I imagine you trust that it will happen. That's my imagining. Yeah.
And then the way I start is usually there are probably, I don't know, a dozen pencils I work with. The hardest is a 9H, which you could open your skin with a 9H. I mean, it is so freaking hard. And I never start with 9H, but I may start with a 4 or 6H, which are still super, super hard. It's like an etching. It's like an etching. It's such a fine line. And that's how I start. And I just love it. And it gets completely covered over. No one sees that. No one sees those first 15 layers but me. But each one I love. I'm like, oh God, I could stop just here. I could just stop here. It's so beautiful. But then it doesn't have the richness and the depth and the volume that you only get with adding and adding and adding and building and picking out the silvers. But I do love it. And then it's hard to let it go. And there is grief. I feel like crying right now. Like I'm going to have to let this go in a week. And yeah, there's grief there. Yeah.
Yeah. Boy, that was a beautiful journey for me. I could feel the love. I could feel it. Every pencil stroke. I could feel the love. I
Yeah.
could feel the
I just,
intensity. I could feel what your whole being was put into that. I just thank you. That was beautiful. Yeah.
and I want to share something because it was just amazing. I haven't listened to Rupert Spira in, oh God, a long time. I did 4 years. For 4 years, I went on retreat with Rupert every 6 months. And I love him. I love Rupert. And I helped him creatively with photography. So I have his cell phone number. And he used one of my photos in one of his brochures last year. But I haven't listened to him because it's just all in the head for me. Like I couldn't get into the body with Rupert, even though I love him totally. So the other day, something came up on YouTube and I started listening. And he was so beautiful. He described what happened with this project, this job. He said, because a woman asked, about God. Is there God? And his answer, and she said, because when we get things in life, usually we say thank you to God. And Rupert's answer was something along the lines of, when we follow what we are called to, when we follow our calling, what's going out, or what we're called to, because God calls us, is love and joy, love and joy. And when we resonate with that, we are given specific people in our lives to answer that. And that's what this project was. I did this dog earlier in the summer, and it was a perfect piece of artwork. And I've been doing artwork for 33 years, and there are very few pieces I say are perfect. But I did this perfect little piece. And then I was given this, which just fell in my lap. I didn't look for it. I didn't ask for it. It just dropped in my lap. And then I heard Rupert the other day, and I thought, yeah, I'm just answering this call to love. I'm just answering this, let me love this way. Let me love this way.
I get
I
that.
love it. Yeah.
You are the expression of love. Yeah, that's how I would see it. Yeah. That's beautiful. And I get the feeling that you're describing. I get that. You know, I've sounds arrogant, I think, but I feel like I know what you're feeling. I know that feeling, that love. Yeah.
Yeah, I think anyone who feels love feels this. I think that anyone who's in touch with love feels this. And I was listening to Debbie earlier, and, I was muted and I was working at the time. And all I kept saying was, oh, darling, oh, sweetie, oh, sweetie. Yeah.
That's your love again.
Yeah. And so brave. She was so brave to put that out there in front of all of us. And
yeah.
So beautiful.
Yeah. These meetings are so full of love that it just makes me almost cry to think about it. Yeah, it's just beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, they're beautiful. And Dennis,
Don't tell him he's good. He doesn't want to hear that.
no, I'm just going to tell him that you just feel like a brother to me, or a cousin, maybe more like a cousin, because there are a lot of issues with my brothers. There's a lot of, but not with my cousins. With my cousins, I just love them. It's like, oh, just love them. And sometimes when Vince goes after you, I'm just like if I could climb through the screen, I just like punch him. And Leave him alone. Leave him alone.
I,
And
I,
then the next,
I only do it out of love.
and then the next week you come back and you're like, yeah, no, I'm fine. And I think, oh, he's fine. Oh God, good. I'm so glad. But I love this thing about John O'Donohue, those 5 questions. I'll have to listen to the video again, because I was just waking up when I heard you talk about those. But those sound super, super powerful. Like, what's a thought I've never had?
Yeah, and there might even be an audio I can try and find and share next time we meet. But it's very, the way he puts it is, you've been so faithfully married to these 5 or 10 thoughts or ideas that you've never considered, flirting or going on a date with these other 5 or 10 thoughts. And you spend some time one day writing the ones you're loyally married to, and then another day you spend some time writing the ones you've never dared to flirt with or have an affair, maybe.
Oh my God, it's so powerful. It's so powerful. Yeah, like, yeah. Beautiful. I heard him speak once in Washington, D.C. Beautiful man. Tragic.
Yeah, he has some lovely talks online. I know they were on Apple iTunes at one point. He's in Greenbelt Festival and he does 3 or 4 different talks, and they're just beautiful. They're just beautiful, and I know his books are popular and that. But all I kept thinking of, you just keep inspiring me to want to. I just want to get pencil and paper again and start scribbling. I used to do it with the kids a lot when they were younger, and that creativity to just draw and see what comes. But it feels like at some point it feels like there's a limitation. You're only as good as you are, but without the skill sets or the teachings, you need to be taught how to see things and draw them. And because I always draw the same type of face and the same type of this and the same type of that. And then when you see like what's behind you, you're like, holy shit, how does someone do that? It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Did I tell you the sign on my door? It says passion follows mastery. Passion follows mastery. And that's how I got to do what I do. It's all self-taught. I started when I was 36, and I just kept doing it because I got a little better, and then I got a little better, and yeah, and now I love it. I just love it.
And will we get to see this finished work of art when it's done, or is that not possible?
Sure. Yeah, because I can also, let me see if I can show you what I've got right now. This is I have this I protect the background with a big piece of cardboard, but this is like the belt, like working on this guy's belt, and his shirt has got all the pattern in it, and his face isn't very done, but over here, this, I'm in the light source there. So anyway, it's these guys, and this is what it'll end up looking like in the end. That's the rough sketch. So
that's the rough sketch. Jeez.
Yeah. But this is, yeah, it's, and Yeah. So
That's a bit of a superpower, I have to say, Phoebe. Like people watch
well,
X-Men and Spider-Man, you're I don't know what you'd call you, ultra draw.
mastery. This is what I'm saying is mastery. Passion follows mastery. And my partner came over the other night and he said, well, I think it's mastery follows passion. And I was like, no. Because when you get mastery over anything, then you get passionate about it. I mean, yeah.
That reminds me of when someone becomes a black belt, it's only the beginning. Yeah. And I love the way you described it earlier on, about the process and how long it takes. And because it reminded me again in one of John O'Donoghue's talks, he's talking about he spent ages working on I don't know if it was a book or a poem about beauty, and he was like you away on his own for weeks. And his mother had met one of the old friends, and she said, "Geez, I haven't seen John in ages. Where is he?" And she said, "Oh, beauty has him nearly killed." But he was talking about the poem, and it's not so much that you just finish and go, "Now that's lovely, that'll do." He said, like, basically, you're worn out, you're just endlessly re-sculpting, redefining, redoing until you just give up out of exhaustion. That's what happened.
That's it. And or you're out of time, and then it's like it's done. It's just that's it. But that's that, and so Vince, I think, yes, this thing about what's waking me up after 3 hours sleep is I only have a week left to work on this. I don't want to spend 8 hours sleeping. This is it. This is it. What I do, this is it. And
you don't need that sleep, Phoebe. Not right now.
No,
it's Christmas Eve.
No. Right. That's the thing. Thank you, Dennis. And I think about Albert Einstein a lot. And like when I woke up at 3, I thought, can you fall back asleep? And then it was like, no. And it felt like Christmas Eve. It's like, no, I have to, I just have these last few days. This is all I have now. And yeah, I'm so glad I'm so glad I talked about this, because this gives me energy. This acknowledgement of enjoying these final hours and also this working to utter exhaustion, and then there's nothing more. You have nothing more. I have nothing more. And the hardest thing about projects like this, pardon me?
It sounds very much like the awakening process. What you just like.
Yeah, and it does.
You're going, and you're exhausted, and then you give up, and then you go, and then the passion. And then it's just all gone. Give it away.
Yeah. And then,
But Phoebe, I hate to burst your bubble, but there's probably going to be a couple of weeks, and then the next even bigger job will come along.
No, Dennis, I'm just putting that out there in the universe. Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that just be nice? Now I'll tell you, oh, you're going to post this, but not everyone's going to listen to it. So the budget on this drawing, $30,000. And I didn't want to bring it up at that first meeting because is it Andreas or
Andre, yeah.
he's
Andre.
he's just he'll use anything to beat himself up with and make himself feel bad or but that's for me, that budget is just like crazy. That was crazy.
I'll bet, Phoebe, I'll bet you if you broke it down to an hourly rate and the hours you put into it, it wouldn't be that big at all.
No, it really isn't. I already did that, and it's like, yeah, it's just very normal. It's very normal because I've done two rough sketches, full-size rough sketches, and yeah, it works out to a very modest hourly in the end.
Yep.
So it's a good thing I did charge so much. But anyway, thank you for this. This is really,
Thank you. You've just given
really
me
helped.
so much joy. Just, yeah, beautiful. Thank you. Mm.
Thanks.
All right. I'm actually gonna pull the plug because I'm gonna wet myself if I can't go to the toilet.
Bye, you guys.
Thanks
Okay.
so much.
All right.
Bye bye, everyone. Bye bye.
Bye.